I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Delay with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter, GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter, Next Level D1. See his fine work at texasfootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express. Pickle will eat your chicken.
Fact.
Delicious chicken.
It's good chicken. It's good chicken. Continue to eat the good chicken. They're the good chicken. That's what we should just tell people. Be like, Chicken Express, the good chicken.
Yes.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to on the recruiting trail. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Prospect on the rise, let's go to the Permian Basin, to Mojo Magic, Odessa Permian offensive lineman Harris Sewell. He is 6'4", 290, and you can add one more stat to his stat line. He is a new Dave Campbell's Texas Football 4-star prospect on texasfootball.com/recruiting. Powers, you made the call. You pulled the trigger on Harris Sewell being the newest 4-star on Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Why'd you do it?
I was actually surprised he wasn't already a 4-star. You know, Harris is a guy who was in our very first, the first time he was available to be in it. He was a freshman top 25 pick in DCTF Rising after he made an impact on the field at an early age there at Odessa Permian, and he's continuing to open up eyes. At 6'4", 290 pounds, he's one of those guys who can play outside in. I think he can play multiple positions up front. As a matter of fact, he was at the Texas A&M game this weekend as a visitor to see the Aggies knock off Alabama, number 1 rated Alabama. And maybe he can remind some people in a way of Kenyon Green, who can move around and play every different position. Harris Sewell is a guy I think could be like that. And he's not only really good, he's versatile. And I think he deserves every bit of a 4-star. And he'll be one of those guys who we think about for 5-star status as well. Almost every school in the country is already coming after him. He has offers from all those big-time teams, including Alabama, who he did watch get knocked off in College Station, as well as Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, SMU, TCU, Texas, Texas A&M, yada, yada, yada. He's got them all.
Yeah, 22 offers for Harris Sewell, and a guy certainly to keep an eye on now, a Dave Campbell's Texas Football 4-star at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Let's move on to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week, let's kind of stay out west, except let's go north, to Spearman, where Spearman athlete Brennan Thompson has committed, and he has committed to the Texas Longhorns, beating out, I believe his Final Four were A&M and, was it LSU were the 3?
He had A&M, Oklahoma State, and I believe he took an official visit to Oregon as well.
In any case, he ends up landing in Austin. He commits to the Texas Longhorns, and this feels like a really nice wins for Steve Sarkisian and company, getting a versatile athlete who not only knocking off, beating out some out-of-state powers, but also beating out Texas A&M, who of course has a lot of recruiting momentum.
Well, I really like Brennan Thompson. You know, it's a really good year in state this year for a lot of top recruits, and Brennan Thompson is one of those guys who brings something unique to the table, and that's speed. And there aren't too many guys that are as fast as him. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about 2 of the fastest guys in the state, and they both happen to be West Texas in this particular notebook. And they were after each other on the track as well this offseason, as they competed for state championships in track and field. But Brennan Thompson is a guy who could really play multiple positions. He could play cornerback. He could play wide receiver. He's a tremendous return guy as well. I kind of like him on the offensive side of the ball. It's hard to convince me at 5'10", 165 pounds in that range that he's not a guy that you wouldn't want to see, trying to score touchdowns, right? I think a case can be made if you're pushing in that 5'11", 6'1" range that maybe defensive back, you might have a higher upside for NFL potential. But when you have somebody who's as fast as Brennan Thompson and he's a shade under 5'11", I think that maybe offense, slot wide receiver, return game, he's going to make a lot of highlight plays once he gets to Austin. And you saw a guy do it this weekend, and a guy who I think that you could probably say, hey, maybe he resembles him a little bit in the Red River rivalry game, and that was Xavier Worthy. That You know, he put up huge numbers, and I think Brennan Thompson just happened to commit on a week where he broke out on the national scene, and they kind of remind me of one another in a way.
I was talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let's now move on to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, let's go to the class of 2024. Those are guys who are sophomores right now. And let's talk about McKinney running back Brian Jackson II, 5'11", 215, an absolute just beast back there in the backfield, and everyone's taking notice. He picked up offers this week from Oregon State and Oklahoma State. I cannot imagine that these will be the last two offers for Mr. Brian Jackson.
No, and they're not the only ones so far. He also has an offer from Baylor. He has an offer from Pittsburgh, and he has an offer from Utah. That's 5 offers for Mr. Jackson, and they're all P5 schools. He got the 2 OSU schools this week in Oklahoma State and Oregon State, but he is, at 5'11", 215, he's a guy who bounces off arm tackles, is able to extend plays, pick up first down, but he has an extra little bit of wiggle to his game as well that really makes him intriguing. Another one of these guys who was selected as a freshman top 25 guy in DCTF Rising. Disclaimer, get on the list right now to get that magazine. We're working hard on putting it together. It'll be dropping out in stores in December, but you should go ahead and subscribe to get your name on the list to pick that magazine up, to get this next batch of top guys that are going to be in the magazine this year, and that would be class of 2025 freshmen. Who's going to be the next Brian Jackson? You need to subscribe now to find out.
That is what we in the business call a sales pitch. And finally, let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week is another commitment and another West Texas kid. Boy, we're loving West Texas this week. It's Amarillo Tascosa, 2022 athlete, Major Everhart. And he has pulled the trigger. He is committed to TCU. And you want to talk about a dynamo. I remember this was a couple weeks ago. It was before the Amarillo game. I can't remember if they beat. I think they beat Lubbock. Tasco, he had 3 touches, and all 3 of them were touchdowns. I think it was like a rush, a catch, and a kickoff return. The kid cannot be stopped, and TCU is getting a special one in Amarillo Tascosa's Major Everhart.
We actually talked about him a few weeks ago, and I think I was put on the spot to say, hey, Greg, where do you think he's leaning? And he was fresh off of an official visit to Notre Dame, and I said, man, Notre Dame might be hard to beat in this. He just took his official visit there, and, Notre Dame's riding high. They're in the top 10. If I had a gun to my head, I think I'd pick Notre Dame, and lo and behold, he picks TCU just a couple weeks later just so he could make me look wrong. Major, why'd you do that to me? Can't believe it, man. No, but seriously, huge pickup for TCU. The Horned Frogs are getting an explosive playmaker. Another guy who really broke onto the scene at running back, but I kind of like him as a slot back or slot-style wide receiver in college. Another one of these guys who's excellent in the return game. And, Major Everhart and Brennan Thompson are going to continue their rivalry not only on the track but also now in major college football as – they'll get a couple games in probably before Texas goes to the SEC. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do at TCU because he is a difference maker, a guy who runs really well. And, of course, he's rated in the DCTF Hot 100, so he's a name that has, bona fide star status behind it. Big pickup for TCU.
Another guy who has bona fide star status is Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, appreciate your time. Appreciate you hopping on with us a little bit early, and we will talk to you next week.
Let's do it then.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.